Conservative New Media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world, Charlotte Hornets fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss the difficult 94-92 loss today for the Charlotte Hornets against the Atlanta Hawks in Charlotte, North Carolina. With the victory, the Hawks improved to 3-1 on the season. The Hornets fall to 0-3. This was the first home game of Charlotte for the year. And so it was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement in the arena. Unfortunately, the home team wasn't quite able to get the win. Quick statistics, Kent Bazemore, who's just, if you remember, I believe that Kent Bazemore, for the Lin fans, played with Jeremy. Or actually, I take that back. He was on the Lakers, I think, the season before Jeremy got there. I remember watching him with the Lakers thinking, this guy's got some talent. And I was actually kind of surprised the Lakers didn't hold on to him, but they're probably regretting that right now. Because Kent Bazemore had a big game today, and he's looking like he's arrived in the NBA. 20 points, 4 rebounds. Jeff Teague, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Al Horford, 16 points, 12 rebounds. Paul Millsap, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He had a huge three-pointer down the stretch of this game. The Hawks did not get a ton from their bench. They really didn't, but they got enough, and that was the key. Let's turn to the Hornets. 4 of the starters were in double-figure scoring. Marvin Williams, 15 points, 5 rebounds. Nicholas Batum, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Al Jefferson, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Kemba Walker, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Kemba really played as hard as he could in this game. People might get on him because he missed a potential game-tying shot late in the game, but Kemba gave everything he had in this game. And he had a nice game tonight. Today. So I can't take anything. Sometimes you make the shot, sometimes you miss it. That's just the way it goes. P.J. Hairston, 7 points, 4 rebounds. Jeremy Lamb, he had a good game. And they didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he had some key shots when he needed them. 9 points, 4 rebounds. Cody Zeller, 6 points, 5 rebounds. Spencer Hawes, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Spencer had a tough game today. He did have a tough game, and I know somebody mentioned it on Twitter, and it's true. He had some mistakes. Frank Kaminsky, 3 points. Jeremy Lin, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Jeremy played 21 minutes in the game, shot 2 of 9 from the field, including 1 of 6 from the three-point line, 2 of 2 free throws, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 1 turnover, 2 fouls. His plus-minus was a -2. And Jeremy's efficiency for this game was 8 in 21 minutes. So I would characterize Jeremy's performance today in terms of PER, the statistic, he's right about at the NBA average, right around 14 or 15 would be my guess. I got to say this, though, and I'm not going to be too hard on Jeremy about it. I thought Jeremy, his shot was off, and he looked a little, he wasn't in his full groove today. He looked a little bit kind of jittery today. And look, you have these guys playing their first home opener. Michael Jordan sitting just a couple seats down at the end of the bench. So some of these new guys, that might happen a little bit. And they all desperately wanted to win. Jeremy missed some wide-open shots in this game, some wide-open three-pointers that could have been important. However, he also had some good plays. So as I said, I would look at his play today as about the average of an NBA player in the NBA in terms of his statistical performance. The good thing is that I feel like Jeremy didn't play that great, and he still played around average for an NBA player. Now, there'll be some people, there's different complaints that'll come. Why didn't Jeremy play more minutes? Why didn't Jeremy do more? Jeremy didn't play more minutes. I think Clifford was just experimenting with different things. He went with the starters for a long time in the third quarter because they had a good groove. And I do think Jeremy was a little bit off his game. And what Coach Clifford is thinking is, I want to win the game. So you just kind of even though Clifford has a pretty set rotation, and he did stick with it in this game, actually. I think he played the starters a little bit longer, and that's why Jeremy got a few less minutes than he would normally get. He was coming into this game averaging 27 minutes, and he just got 21 minutes. But so that's what I was thinking. In terms of Jeremy doing more, it's the Hawks' defense is they concentrate around the paint. They in the painted area. So it's very difficult to drive against them. Jeremy did have some drives in this game, but he was unable to finish them. And he has had that issue before. But so my feeling about him struggling, or in the ways that he struggled in this game, I'm not going to say the whole game was a struggle because it wasn't, was he missed shots that were open, and he wasn't able to finish layups. And so that's how it went today. That was what it was today. The good news for Jeremy was he had 4 assists and only 1 turnover for a 4-to-1 ratio, which is exceptional. That's fantastic. So that's really good to see. Also having 2 blocks is good to see. And look, Clifford stayed with him. Now, I know people are saying, well, they're running Jeremy into the corner and not doing anything with him. I think they were going with – Clifford was going with plays that he's comfortable running. A lot of those plays had to do with Kemba Walker, Al Jefferson, and Nick Batum. Batum was feeling it today from three-point range. He was 4 of 9. So I don't really have a problem with how Clifford called the game or managed the game or the plays that he called. I really don't. Look, Jeremy had a couple opportunities. He still had an opportunity or two down the stretch or thereabouts to hit an open three-pointer and to make some plays. He just didn't make them a day. That's the way it goes. Some days you're going to make them and some days you're not going to make them. What I like about Jeremy is he didn't lose his head. Even though I didn't think he was really on his game, he stayed with it. He didn't make any silly turnovers. The turnover that he got looked like a shot attempt. It was a shot. He kind of threw it off the backboard while he was backwards. It looked like he wanted to pass the ball, actually. What it looked like was a pass that was coming from a shot. In other words, I'm going to throw the ball against the backboard, and one of my guys is going to get it. And that's what it looked like. So the scorekeeper interpreted that as a pass attempt, and because Atlanta got the rebound, that was charged as a turnover. It's interesting scoring, the way that they charged it, but I understand it. I just put this on Twitter, and I'll repeat this here. One of the really good things about this game was that Charlotte had 27 assists on 32 made baskets. With that type of ratio, I mean, that's, I don't know what, 90%, 85%. That's the type of ratio you would expect to see from a team like the Warriors. So they moved the ball. They shared the ball. Pardon me. Kemba Walker began this game determined not to shoot the ball because I think he wanted to make sure everybody else was involved. The reason why the Hornets lost this game above everything else was that they were outplayed in the fourth quarter. They went into the fourth quarter with the lead, I believe, by 6 points, and they just couldn't hit shots in the fourth quarter. At one stretch of the fourth quarter, they were 1 for 18 shooting the ball in the fourth quarter. What is that? That's just a ridiculously 6-7%. You just don't expect that to happen on your own home court. This is a frustrating loss because definitely they could have won this game. And there were substantial stretches in this game where the Hornets looked like they didn't know what they were doing. And so, and I'm not saying that really to diss them, but more to say, like, if they had a couple fewer moments of that, they definitely could have won this game and probably should have won it. So the game was there to be won. That being said, even though they just looked confused at different times, particularly the second unit, there's a bunch of very good statistics from this game. particularly when you compare it with the previous game against Atlanta. In the previous game against Atlanta, I think the Hornets had 20 turnovers for 26 points by the Hawks. Tonight, the number was 12 turnovers for 15 points. 12 turnovers is an excellent number. That's fantastic. That'll get you right up at the top of the league over a season. 15 points off of turnovers, not bad. Not bad. Atlanta themselves took care of the ball, only 11 turnovers for 12 points, but the key was Charlotte adjusted to Atlanta's really intense defense. Like, they clearly improved from the game down in Atlanta, and that's really good to see. I already mentioned the assist to the field goal attempt, made field goal ratio. Another thing was Charlotte had 27 assists and only 11 turnovers. So you're approaching there a 3-to-1 ratio. In Atlanta, it was about a 1-to-1 ratio, which is difficult to win a game against in that situation. They didn't foul a bunch in this game. They shot the three-pointer a ton, and they once again shot it better than Atlanta did. They made 14 out of 37 three-point attempts for about 38%. That's fantastic. That's great. So there were a lot of positives in this game. And each of these first three games that they've lost, they've been in the game. They had a chance, or at least an outside chance in the Miami game, to win them. They're staying unified. You know, you don't see, there's no finger pointing or any of this type of thing. And so these are good signs. I mean, it's never good. Nobody wants to be 0-3 on the season, but there still are plenty of positives here. And again, when this team can get more cohesive, particularly the second unit, then it should get even better. And look, for Jeremy individually, as I said, I thought he was off his game a little bit, just like I said, a little jittery, whatever you want to call it, the home opener, whatever it was. Just stay with it. Just keep your head in the game, and as the team gets better chemistry, as you start facing some teams eventually that aren't quite as good, you've played Atlanta, and Miami, which are very good teams. And they still have more tough games coming up. So, you know, it's not going to be too easy, but it will get easier. Just wait for things to break, and they will break for positive direction. And look, like I said, sometimes your shots go in, sometimes they don't. But the assisted turnover thing was excellent. Jeremy made a lot of good attempts on defense. He had some moments where he struggled on defense, but overall he did what he could, and he did a pretty good job, I thought. Not perfect, but good. And again, I mean, the Hawks are a powerful team, and they had Kyle Korver playing today, which was not the case in the game down in Atlanta. So I don't know. I would imagine this team is pretty much at full strength right now, are the Hawks. Sure, you were playing on your home court. The odds makers nailed this game. They favored Atlanta by 1.5 points, and Atlanta ended up winning by 2 points. So that's a pretty good prediction. So there's no, and this is what I've said before, there's no panic, there's no anxiety or whatever. Jeremy, this is probably, of the 3 games of the season, this was probably his toughest one. But like I said, new team, you got the owner and the greatest player in the history of the game sitting there beside your bench. Yeah, you're probably a little geeked up, little tight. And but Jeremy he had 3 turnovers in the game in Atlanta. He only had 1 turnover tonight. He handled Atlanta's defensive pressure better. And let's just move on to the next game. I mean, I think that's really what it is. The Hawks, and this was mentioned during the broadcast by the Hornets announcer, there were people who thought the Hawks were going to take a step back this season because they lost to Mary Carroll, who was a very important part of what they did last year, but it doesn't look like it right now, like they've taken a step back, and that could be because of the emergence of Kent Bazemore. And look, you got to give them credit. They're a well-coached team. They're disciplined, they're aggressive, they're talented, they're deep, and they're a formidable team. Now, I said in the last video that they're kind of a regular season team, and that I think they're better about that this year than they were last year, but that's still kind of the case because the run and gun style, it can work in the playoffs. I mean, we saw the Warriors win the championship with it last year. It's not like it can't work. But in the playoffs, the tempo is usually slower. The pace is lower. So you have to be able to score in different ways. You have to be able to play in a slower style and be able to do that effectively. So that's why I say about Atlanta that they're more regular season team. But we'll see. Look, they made I think they made the Eastern Conference Final last year, so it's not like they had no success. This is a very good team. And I thought they might not be as good this year, but they look pretty good. And the only loss that they have was, I believe, up in Detroit, and I think Detroit's 3-0. They're looking improved. So I don't know. It's too bad that the Hornets lost these 2 games, but they've lost 2 games to this team, and it's by a total of 5 points. So you just got to stay with it. Certainly, the second unit of the Hornets is going to get better. And the Hornets they're changing their offensive philosophy. They want to be like the Warriors and the Spurs, where the ball moves. You could hear Coach Clifford yelling that, move the ball on one certain possession during this game. But they're not there yet. So the first unit has chemistry because they're used to playing with one another, but they're not used to playing in the style that Clifford wants to play now. And then the second unit, they're not used to playing with one another, and they've got to get used to you. You need chemistry and familiarity to be able to move the ball like the Spurs and the Warriors do. So it's just going to be this. It's going to be frustrating. And if you wonder why it looks different from the preseason, it's because the intensity's up. You didn't see the type of defense that Atlanta is playing in the preseason. It just doesn't exist because guys don't want to get hurt. And for a lot of the better players, nothing's on the line. You just want to get through preseason healthy and just get it over with. Now, the games matter. The games count. So guys play harder and they play with more focus. I could go through quarter by quarter. I'm probably going to just skip that for today. I'll look really quickly if there's anything in particular to say about Jeremy or the team. Look, the team showed a lot of heart. They fought. They tried hard. There were moments in this game where it looked like they were going to get blown out, which we've certainly seen those types of moments in the first couple of games as well. But they just hang around. They just hang around, and that's a very good sign. Yeah, I made a note that just says Charlotte doesn't have a guy who can really bust out on offense. In other words, they don't have the super athlete. The closest thing to that is Kemba. The problem with Kemba is he's only about 6 foot tall. And so he can make a bunch of moves and get separation, but he's not an incredible shooter. And sometimes it's hard for him to finish at the rim because he's 6 foot going against guys 6'10" or whatever at the rim. And so he has a little bit of that same issue that Jeremy does, which is finishing the layups at the rim. And so Charlotte isn't the most talented team in the world, but they are skilled, they can shoot, and they have playmakers. So you gotta play towards that. And playing that kind of team ball does take really good chemistry, and it takes repetition. It takes repetition of that style, and they're just not there yet. Although, look, I remember a game last year when Cleveland, LeBron went back to Cleveland, and the roster hadn't been fixed yet. Before they made the trade for Mozgov, J.R. Smith, and Iman Shumpert. So the roster was, you still had LeBron and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving on the roster. It can't be that bad. But it wasn't complete. It wasn't good enough. The Hawks decimated the Cavs. And I think it was in Cleveland. I mean, they just blew them apart by like 30 points. So that's not happening in Charlotte. So even though they're not the most supremely talented athletic team, they're still hanging in there. They're not getting blown out. And I remember when that happened in Cleveland, there was a lot of talk. And there was, are things working out in the locker room and whatever? You're not going to have that with this team in Charlotte. I just don't think it's that type of team. And guys they have higher character than that. They won't give up, and they're not going to turn on each other. So, look, let's just move on. Like I said, I could keep going through my notes here, but there's nothing major to say. There's nothing major. What we did with this the other day was we focused on, in the quarter-by-quarter discussion, we focused on Jeremy Lin's turnover bundle late in the third quarter against the Hawks. Well, there was no turnover bundle today. So there was no major event to really focus on in this game. The Hornets played great through three quarters. They had their ups and downs, but they really pulled it together in the third quarter. They just weren't able to execute well enough in the fourth quarter. They weren't able to hit shots, and they weren't able to get great looks. And that's basically what happened. And Jeremy played fine. He just missed shots. I want to thank Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, but I always forget to mention Gary at the beginning of the video. So I want to mention it now, even though we're about midway or towards the end, I guess. Also want to say what's up to Ronnie Chan and the gang in Hong Kong. Ronnie, I think your settings are such that I can't respond to you directly, but I just want to let you know that I see, and I see everybody. If I thumb up your comment, then I see you. And I read the comment, even if I don't have the chance or the time to respond. Fortunately for me today, my modem worked. So this video is actually going to get up right after the game because I was able to watch the game in real time. Thank goodness. So that's good. Look, that's it. I mean, it's a tough loss. It's unfortunate. Everybody in that building wanted that win, from Michael Jordan down to the guy working a popcorn stand. It just weren't quite able to get it. But don't hang your head. Stay with it. Let's move on to the next game and try to get the victory as soon as we can. That game is going to be coming up 2 days from now, November 3rd, here in the United States, against the Chicago Bulls. So another difficult team. Unfortunately, this is what the Hornets roster is early on this season. 7 p.m. Eastern time, that will take place here in the United States. That means the game will take place on Wednesday, November 4th at 8 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan, and I believe throughout China as well. Look, I'm interested to hear what other people have said or are thinking about this game. I've already heard some of the feedback on Twitter. And like I said, look, study the video, tighten things up. That second unit needs more repetition. That's really about it. I mean, it's a couple more shots go in for the Hornets. They win this game, but it wasn't quite there today. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. As far as Gary Chen is concerned, the artist whose work you're looking at right now, you can learn more about Gary if you go into his Facebook. That information is in the video description below the video player. Also, Gary is a member of the Jeremy Lin Garden fan group, and you can find out more about them. I believe there's a link for their Facebook in the video description as well. I will also put in the video description information so you can go and check out highlights of this game. And we encourage you to come and join our Conservative New Media Facebook group and to follow us on Twitter. The information for both of those things will also be found in the video description. Once again, I am Paul Villarreal, PFV, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube channel. Look, it's just another day. The team put a lot of effort out there. They tried very hard. They wanted to win very badly. Just didn't quite get it. Jeremy was working hard. He did it. Just tiny shot wasn't falling that well. And that's basketball. That's how it goes. But I like what he did otherwise. He made smart plays, didn't get turnovers, worked hard on defense, and so let's move on and hopefully we'll get that first home victory and first victory of the season coming up Tuesday against the Chicago Bulls.